There is the old world view of leadership, where leadership equaled power of personality or dominance, which we saw in the earlier definition also. But now in the modern knowledge-driven world, leadership equals power to innovate and promote new ideas. It's translated into what we call thought leadership. And what is thought leadership? Thought leadership, that is anyone in the organization who provides critical knowledge that could alter or scale performance, resources and output, is a potential thought leader within your organization. It could be a staff member, it could be a CEO, or it could be a board member. So today leadership is just not restricted at the board level. Leadership is moved on to thought leadership, that anyone who provides critical knowledge to the organization that can alter, scale performance, resources and output is a potential thought leader within your organization. So let us look at some of the leadership strength checks. First of all, your board composition in terms of numbers. What is the board numerically? A board which is just 2 members is dangerous. You know, if one resigns, dies, you are left with a sole trustee. Not a good concept from good governance. An ideal number is, usually I say 5 to 7. Even the old concept of the panchayat comes from panch, which is 5. 5 elders of the community form the panchayat. So 5 is a good number, even 7 is good. You can maximize it up to 9, but 9 is the last single digit. After that becomes 10, which is the double digit. You go into double digits and your problems also double. So a lean board is good. So keep it single digit as far as you can, but having seen that, there are boards where I've seen that there are 15 board members and there are 16 opinions because the chairman has a casting vote. So numbers, try to keep it lean. Gender parity, it's an issue that is increasingly being seen by international organizations. Organizations like Ford and others look at gender parity on the board. I mean, even looking at reverse gender parity. Oftentimes they say it's a women's organization, so all our board members are women. Why can't men be on the board there? So, you know, you don't have to look at gender parity only from one side. So gender parity is something that is being looked at very seriously. The age factor. Almost many times you find NGOs where you have board members all on the wrong side of 70. So you need some young people for the new ideas, fresh ideas, the technological brilliance. You need the mid-level professionals. And you also need some senior people for their experience and bringing about stability. A good board will have a good composition in terms of numeric strength, gender parity, age of youth, middle age, older people, and special skills and contacts on the board. So it's always a good idea to have one legal person on the board. It's always a good idea to have one finance person on the board. If you are a health organization, have that. Have somebody from the media on the board if you need to engage the media, somebody from the communications world. So have diversity of skills and contacts on your board. So an ideal, this is a leadership strength check that you need to go home and take for your own organization, whether you meet this criteria. Ask your questions. Are we raising more money every year? Are we tapping all possible sources for fundraising? Individuals, corporates, government, and are we using all possible methods, payroll giving, raising money through bequests, various forms, and if not, why? It's a question you only can answer. Do we often get cash trapped? You know, your accountant says, we are in the red, we don't have money to pay next month's salary. If that happens, it means you are not keeping an eye on cash flow. Do we have adequate reserves, that is your corpus? Do board members themselves contribute? These are all questions you need to go home and ask. Are we generating an atmosphere of confidence in our cause? Are we demonstrating real and communicable enthusiasm or mere excitability? There's a big difference between that. A lot of excitement, we are doing this, we are doing that, but that may be just excitement, it may not be real enthusiasm. Are people really bought into the idea? And most important, are we showing real accomplishment or mere activity? There's a big difference between accomplishment and activity. I read in an annual report, last year we were reaching out to 50 villages, now we work in 100 villages. That's activity. What is your accomplishment in those 50 villages first of all? I mean, I would be happier if you told me what you did in 5 villages as opposed to telling me from 50 you have moved to 100 villages now. So activity versus accomplishment, it's something that you need to answer. Are we individual star performers or loyal members of the team?